My two dear friends are here with me, architect Pratik Dhanmer and Kunal Negandhi. He's a civil engineer. Like Kunal is practicing into green architecture as well as in bamboo, and he is very well doing in that particular field with his expertise and as well as business point of view. And also Pratik is an architect who is working in a vernacular medium, and he is also very successful into the agriculture as well as the business. So I am very proud of both of them, and they are here today with us in the studio, and let's hear from them. Pratik Dhanmer from Design Jatra.
Hello.
Welcome,
Namaste.
Pratik. Today we have with us Mr. Kunal Negandhi. Welcome, Kunal.
Difficult to unlearn.
It's quite difficult
Did
initially.
your friends and peer, kind of mock you or make fun?
Yeah.
Was it difficult?
Yes, initially it's difficult. It started from my family actually. They started questioning me what you are going to do. But somehow I had a faith in it. Okay, whatever I'm doing, I'm enjoying it, and I don't mind doing it for next 50, 60 years. Same thing, and that's the only benchmark I had that time. And I started keep doing it, and then the exploration started happening, and then we understood, oh, there is so much of depth to it. Basic principle is there is an economy of happiness which is happening over here more than just economics. We started exploring this particular field, and yeah, right now we are like happy.
Did you find that the people from whom you were learning, did you find they were reluctant to talk about it because
Yes.
you are one big like a designer or architect, and they are people from the sons of soil or daughters
So the
of soil.
connection of rural people
Did you
was
find-
difficult.
Yes, so basically I belong to that particular village where we are practicing right now. But again, my dad had a job in Mumbai, and we shifted all, and we for the festivals or 2-3 times a year we used to visit. So we are always outsider for them, even though I belong to that particular place. When I went there, they used to call me Pratik Shade. So the
Oh.
moment they called me Shade, that means you are like
Different
little away
from-
from from them or different, or you are on a pedestal. And somehow it worked also, and also we wanted to like dilute that definition. But the thing is, when we started asking questions to the villagers, okay, why you guys are building cement homes? Like, it's not that good. You can still have a good mud home. The first thing is like, why you are telling us? You already consume so much of resources living in the city. You have no rights to tell us, to live in a mud
Change
house.
our
Yeah. And another thing, so when this particular question came to me, I built my own house with the mud.
Wow.
Then I told them, okay, see, right now I'm living in a mud house, so why you guys are not building mud house? Then they came up with the story that if I build a mud house, nobody give me their daughter to marry because it has a lot of maintenance.
Okay.
So we as a design chitra, we started working on the details where how we can reduce the maintenance of the mud houses. So there the the experimentation started happening. So we started working on the metal end of wall, the brick work or the mud, how you can stabilize mud for that, and all these details started coming because we wanted to give them, okay, it's your material but little bit of transformation and some changes in the technology, but still now you can. Then after that we were like, okay, now what's your cause? Like, and they were like, okay, but right now there are no timber left in the forest. We are not getting carving for construction. And then we again started working on, okay, let's plant the forest.
So it's an ongoing process.
Yeah.
You can say it's a like journey, as Kunal also said. It's a journey.
Exactly.
And you need people around you because you need the support of rural as well.
Exactly.
And they should feel that you are one of them. That is the
Exactly.
most important.
Exactly. And I think it took me around 6 years to be one of them.
Okay.
And where now they call me Pratik only and not Pratik Shade.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. And I also admire and I respect your parents because they
Yes,
also
yes.
allowed you to do choose a different path
Totally.
beyond this path where you are connected to Mother or Planet Earth.
Yes, totally.
And yes, kudos to them.
Yeah.
An important question that लड़की देंगे नहीं मर्डर में रहने वाले. What happened with you?
I'm still single.
So that question still
That's
remains
my choice,
unexplored.
right?
Yeah, that's my choice.
But very interestingly, Karvi is a very natural material.
Yeah.
You find it everywhere. But now, if you really want to have Karvi for even making a house, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Okay. So coming to the point that are those natural materials are easily available and the resources are available, and if that is region oriented or area specific or according to the climatic condition, should we adopt those materials, or we can go like यहाँ पे घर बांधना है, मुझे अगर लगा बाम्बू से करना है तो बाम्बू से करूँगी, या मुझे लगा मड से करना है तो मड से करूँगी.
So I don't think there is one answer to this. I think it depends upon a person's belief, taste, aptitude, attitude, and pocket. All these factors together. So, and each of them are right in their own way. The point is, at least you have a thought that are you being regenerative, or are you using the regenerative materials? Are you looking at nature-based design or biophilic design, as people call it? In the overall thought process. So are you talking of, I don't want to name names, but I know of a person who says कि पता है मेरे घर पे 150 टन का AC लगता है. You know, and they brag about it, and I'm like, wow, that's just because you have money and you think it's a cool thing to brag about.
Like
That my
you are
house.
collecting things and you are bragging about it.
Yeah, and I'm saying it's not just collection. It's about they feel that their house has become synonymous with luxury,
Yeah.
and that the fact that they require 50 tons of AC itself speaks something great about what they have tried to achieve. Now imagine someone would have attempted that size of a house using mud or rammed earth or bamboo or wood. I don't even think they would have required 10 tons of AC,
Exactly.
and probably would have felt much more rooted.
So you are also stating that so they could afford 150 tons of AC, they could afford the mud house or a bamboo. Is it a thing of or a question of affordability as well? Because as I said, if I want to have that in a particular area, जैसे मुझे बॉम्बे में करना है और जैसे मुझे मड लगेगा तो मड I have to get it from somewhere else or bamboos I have to get it from somewhere else. So is it cost effective or is it very expensive?
I'll quote Laurie Bakerji over here because when Laurie Bakerji met Mahatma Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi told him that build a house with using the material which is coming from 5 kilometers of the radius. And I think Mahatma Gandhi just told one line to Laurie Bakerji, and Laurie Bakerji dedicated his entire life for that one sentence. And when Bakerji started practicing, he realized why that line is so important. So first of all, you are reducing your transport of the material, so automatically you are reducing the carbon footprint of the material. That particular material is seasoned to that particular area. Okay, you have skill set to use that particular material in that particular area. So you are employing local people. So your economy is also getting decentralized. Rather, you are creating a circular economy within that particular region. So the migration can stop because people don't have to go to the cities for the jobs. And again, whatever construction you are doing with all those material, with all those skill set, compatible to the climate or the microclimate of that particular region. So with that one sentence, you are getting it's an entire philosophy. Rather, you can write a huge book on that one sentence. This is very important to understand the localization of. Have your thought process as a global, but we have to be a little bit local in terms of whenever it comes to the consumption of material. Gandhi said that if we, let's say not 5 miles, but at least 20-25 kilometers, if we stick to, we could easily achieve it.
And the best example is Sabarmati Ashram at Gujarat by architect Gautam Sabarna.
Yeah.
So Gandhiji also told him the same thing.
Exactly.
And that is the best example of organic architecture as well.
To add to this point, that's one school of thought. Another school of thought is that now you are living in Bombay, I am living in Thane. What is local in 5 kilometers is probably 4 or 5 more.
Absolutely.
From where I can go, and that's what is the source of entertainment and source of things that you buy. Now, and I think 40% of India lives in cities now,
Yeah.
tier 1, tier 2 cities. And it is said that India needs 250 cities and the migration of people will continue. So there is something that's going to happen in each case and we may need to be realistic about it. Now, if that's going to happen, what can be done to again reduce the carbon footprint? So that's where regenerative materials like bamboo, for example, has a big role to play.
Right.
Maybe not in its natural form, but maybe in an engineered form. So, as a country, we use about 1,10,000 crore worth of wood every year annually, and this is organized sector. Unorganized might be probably 2.5 times that number.
Absolutely.
And as our GDP grows, our aspiration will grow and our consumption will grow. And in that consumption, because by nature we are consumers, by nature we feel that until unless we consume, the satisfaction and enjoyment is linked to our ability to consume things for our own life. Now, if you if you put a yardstick that as you're consuming, are you looking at carbon footprint as a yardstick?
Okay.
And then you'll find natural materials like mud. Mud converted to terracotta has multiple uses. Bamboo, natural form. Multiple uses. Bamboo, engineered form has multiple uses. So at least even if one were to be conscious about it, you'll find 60 to 70% of the carbon footprint coming down. And I think the best thing that works is when people find value and they talk about that value and then others also feel inspired to do it. Probably that's how the movement gets built and that's how the change happens. So I think we'll have to be realistic about things and we'll have to, because the net emitters are far more in numbers than the net people who are trying to be net zero.
Yeah.
And the planet or humanity cannot afford, to keep their eyes shut and say, I'm doing my bit.
So when you say it's consumed that, it is growing that at a faster rate.
Regenerative.
So the regeneration should happen, the restoration of the natural material should happen. So do we plant that kind of forests, trees like bamboo trees, or do we restore mud or whatever we can do to restore this natural material? Is this restoration also happening at the same time?
Yeah,
That
it's a very important question. I think it's a very sensitive question at the same time. See, if you look at IPCC report, Indian Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, and if we see the statistics that have emerged, 1.5 degree increase of temperature, we already have crossed multiple times.
Yeah.
But it's like a rubber band, the nature is like rubber band. In COVID, when everything was standstill, we could see miles and miles away and realize, there are hills
There are hills.
that are visible.
You could see so many birds.
Which are not visible earlier, right?
Yeah.
So nature rebounded back just because there was no human activities happening at that time. My experience at Lavasa, small thing, it was absolute joy to see the trees that you have planted or saplings that you have planted become trees in a period of a decade in front of your eyes. During my tenure, we have been instrumental to plant about 1 million trees and 2 million shrubs. And acres and acres of hydroseeding work, which we introduced in the country first time. So imagine the entire forest getting created. That's how nature is. If you allow nature to thrive.
Absolutely.
Now, if you are able to use those kind of regenerative material in your consumption, like if we take specific instance of bamboo, there are 1,100 documented uses of bamboo.
1,100.
1,100 documented. So in this room, as we said, probably 80% of the things can be done in bamboo.
Okay.
Your flooring, ceiling, cabinets, door window frames, Even bamboo can be done into glass.
Bamboo can be done into glass.
Glass. The same glass that we are seeing,
Okay.
bamboo can also be done into glass. There's research going on there.
Okay.
So I'm saying, how did steel and cement come? And what happened before steel and cement? Were we not living? Did we not have house?
Where they were not structures.
The industrialization was supposed to make our life easy. The management.
Availability of the goods.
Easy. You want to make your life easy. The wheel came, it increased your mobility, and then the technological advances happened to make your life easy. But probably when things become easy, the mind becomes destructive probably in nature rather than constructive in nature. And that led to absolute no value into what is the footprint that you are creating. What is it that you are taking away from the planet rather than, living in Siam or balance, I would say. The scope of regenerative materials, whether it is soil or bamboo or hemp, many such different materials, if one were to put their mind to it, you'll find that ecosystem will start getting created. What we initiated 8 years back as a private limited company, Chance and Julian, there was no real big ecosystem that existed in the country. It's like I want to build a house and I'm going to the mine and mining the clinker and then making a cement and then going and digging out iron ore and then making my steel and then building my house.
Right.
And to build a house, I have to get the artisan who understands how it has to be done. So it's an ecosystem.
It was.
200 years back, before cement and steel, this was normal.
Yeah.
But the use of industrialized material, supposedly to make our life easy, has made life easy. Probably it's people tell me, that ये तो लेकिन difficult है ना, business as usual case नहीं है, इसमें. But the fact is that if more people were to look into it, if the energy were to build, I don't think it is impossible. As humans, we have solved many problems, right? So this is one thing that for our own survival and for survival of life on the planet, do we really have a choice but not to be regenerative? Forget the word sustainable, because when you talk sustainability, people talk about a business as usual scenario.
Yeah.
And I say, please don't talk business as usual. You say that first, are you net zero? Because all the GHG gas emissions that are right now, surrounding the planet, they also will need to be reduced. You just can't say stop, I'm not going to emit any longer.
It won't happen.
But those gases are going to remain for a long period of time. And the fact is that you're also emitting. And you will continue to emit because your GDP will have to be higher.
Exactly.
People want to live a better life. So do you really have a choice but not to be regenerative in your thinking process? And among the regenerative materials, bamboo is a superstar.
Yes.
It's the Amitabh Bachchan of sustainability and regenerative materials. Grows faster than any other flora.
Right.
It sequesters more CO2 than mostly, all the flora combined together, and it emits more oxygen. So it's like, when there is a problem created, we know that God also gives a solution.
Right.
Probably we need to start putting our mind to where the solution is and make it a part of the ecosystem. We attempted it and we did it in one area.
So to create this awareness, there should be the programs conducted and the workshops conducted. I think you are also, Pratik, conducting workshops for kids as well.
Yes.
And you are also the initiative called Toora for the rural
Yes.
community.
Yes.
So is it helping in regenerating and
Yes.
sustaining the natural material as Kunal said?
So I completely agree to what Kunal sir is saying. Because we are also facing this kind of a question, because when we started working in the village, the youth was still migrating, and only during the farming times the youth was there in the village. Otherwise 8 months they are just traveling, and whenever they go to cities, they are not happy with that particular job, but they have to go because they have to earn money. And that time we started questioning the economics of it. We are here talking about the sustainability, but the sustainability is first of all, I would say it's the most abused word.
Yeah.
Okay, people just take it for granted and they just say anything to like sustainable.
There are always trends. So this is
Yeah,
a trend.
exactly. There is a trend right now, and so we started questioning entire systems which we are trying to bring in the village. And that time we realized ki, okay, the people are migrating, and the youth, the main power is not there in the village. How you will develop the village sustainably? And that time when we were thinking, so we had a dialogue with a lot of youngsters. It happened to be that we came in touch with one economist and ecologist, which is a rare combination, Gurudas Nulkar sir, and he visited our village. And we just told him all these problems what we are facing. क्योंकि ये ऐसा हो रहा है, माइग्रेशन हो रहा है, गांव में पैसा नहीं है, लोग बोलते हैं कि उनको 300 रुपए दिन का चाहिए, वो बाहर जा रहे हैं. And I think he guided us so well with the heart in place, like the ecologist being an ecologist, and how to sort out your economics. And that time we got introduced to the economy of happiness, I would say, where you think in a very different manner. For example, he said sometimes you need not to calculate your economics in terms of money, but there are certain things also. So he told us to look at the kind of transaction which is happening in a tribal people. So for example, when they are building a house, that one person is getting help from one person coming from each household to help him. So he keeps the record of it. Yeah, so he keeps the record. Okay, ये बंदे ने मुझे 5 दिन help किया, इसने मुझे 10 दिन help किया. And when that particular person is building the house, this particular person.
Like we used to do the project in colleges.
Exactly, exactly. Same happens with the farming. Now your labor cost is 0 because you don't need labor from the outside. You are using the same material from, like you are getting mud from your farm, you are getting timber from your backyard or forest plot or something like that. So again your material is 0. And sometimes the skilled people who comes, तो उनको एक बोतल रात को दारू दिया जाता है और चिकन दिया जाता है, and that's your transaction. Okay. So these resources are important. So right now the transaction is happening in the resources. So he started thinking, okay, how you can bring this particular focus on this particular transaction and make it work. And that time we started looking at the bamboo as well, because that time I was building my own house and I wanted a lot of bamboo. And we were just roaming around the village and we asking people, okay, do you have bamboo? Do you have? And they were like, no, we are not planting it. And we were like, why? And they were like, see, we use this bamboo for making this machli pakadne ka jar, which is called botad. Botad, yeah. So they were like, right now we are getting nylon nets from the market, which is for 10 rupees. So why should I make? And again, I have to make it after every 3-4 years because it decays. And we're like, okay. And then they were like, okay, if I want to use it for construction, right now there are ready-made precast cement poles I'm getting, or all these materials. So I don't need bamboo for construction as well. And now even government is giving such a cheap food, I'm not even eating it because bamboo is a very good food.
Okay.
Yeah, they use it. And so there is dependency on that particular material it reduces. So that time, me, Shabdul, Vinita were thinking how we can make sure that this skill won't go, like the kind of skill they are using right now. And we just look at this machli pakadne ka jal and we're like, okay, this can be converted into the architectural stationery. And we architects are obsessed with the stationery. We really love to keep those stationery. And we just designed one pouch with it. And it looks so good that we put it on the social media, like Facebook, and we got 50 pouch order.
Oh.
And that time we started thinking, okay, now if they a particular person want 50 pouches, so we had a meeting with the villagers and we came to know that this youth is just asking for 2,500 rupees per month. Okay. The aspiration is so less, and for that kind of money they just travel, migrate and go to the cities. And we're like, okay, with this particular pouch, let's say it's require a skill, or maybe let's say if we sell it for 500 rupees, 50 pouch is getting almost 25,000. It means that 10 people, 10 families are getting the kind of monthly requirement which they have. And we just finished that order and somehow we sold it off. And within a week, we got order of 400 pouch from one event. And then the people came to know there are 2 lakh rupees coming to our village, and they were like mad about it. And they were like, okay, we are ready to do it. And that for 1 month we are having this celebration like kind of a thing. Everybody is sitting in the front yard and doing this bamboo shavings, making these products, and pataka लगाते हैं गांव में, वैसे वो bamboo के product पूरे गांव में लटका दिए थे क्योंकि उसको सुखाना पड़ता है ताकि फंगस ना पकड़े. All these processes going on, and 1 month we could see the kind of energy which is there, and youth is not going out. They are sitting in their village. They are doing this particular job. And that time we, after that, and when we completed that particular order, everyone was happy because they are getting a very good money within the village. And we were like, okay, दादा आप बोलो, हम लोग और करेंगे ऐसा ऑर्डर. And we were like, no, but अभी हमारे गांव में तो बांबू का रिसोर्स है नहीं, हम लोग दूसरी जगह से बांबू मंगा रहे हैं. And in that rain, everybody started planting bamboo in their backyard.
Okay.
So then we realized that how you can actually connect economics to the ecology and get the resources back.
And start a revolution, I can say.
Yeah. So I think this is very important when and again, as sir said, this is Amitabh Bachchan of the sustainability construction material or any kind. Best part about the bamboo is when it is not in use, it degrades also so fast that it's not even polluting to the environment. And again, you are ready for the next. You need to adapt this thing. It's not about the production, but what happens when you are not using it. It's also a very important thought which we need to give to all the materials. And it's exactly like when we have a bamboo walls and that wall decays. The people throw those walls in the farm because it's a good fertilizer after a point.
Okay.
You cannot throw a cement wall in the farm and you are not doing farming for next 10 years, 100 years. So that's the whole thought process we need to understand.
As you mentioned, the rural economy,
Yeah.
and also the aspiration of young people in the rural area, and how their aspiration is very so less, like 2,000 rupees per
Yeah.
month. Of course, we can use this for a greater purpose, and we can give them the regular income-based jobs or income-based practices in their own villages, and it can just turn the scenario around.
Exactly.
The migration will stop. It's a wonderful thought, and thank you for that starting that initiative.
And I think, see, the biggest important thing that he may not have touched upon is people toiled to earn.
Right.
They didn't sit and it came. So there's a skill that also started getting developed. And that's where now if they do a product which is probably selling at 500, over a period of time they will do a final product which will sell for 1,500.
Yeah.
So that
Exactly.
excellence start building it.
Absolutely.
And in that excellence is where the value gets generated.
The skill
So
will
I think-
develop also along with the
That
materials, knowledge they have.
social capital which will get generated, and the children will see their parents, working towards making a superior product. And probably that is what generates value. That's what our IITs and IIMs and all have taught, that business excellence. But some important thing that's got missed in the whole thing is being sensitive to ecology or nature. So when we say stakeholders, the biggest stakeholder is the environment.
Yes.
Right.
Totally.
And it is an unspoken stakeholder. And everything that you breathe and eat all comes from that important stakeholder. But nowhere in your KPI and KRAs are you actually measuring that stakeholder. You are talking of a shareholder.
Yeah.
So this limited thinking probably has led to the planet to where we are.
Right.
And if we say that अभी हम सोचते हैं इसके बारे में, then it will not happen because all the knowledge that has been acquired to build a aspirational life and increase the GDP will never lead to a regenerative life.
Okay.
And a different method of looking at it where you don't look at, your shareholder, you of course have to look at your shareholder. But you also have to extend yourself and look at your stakeholder.
Stakeholder. Yeah.
So
that it was leading to my next question. Like, how can we increase the plantation of bamboo, or is there any initiative taken by government,
No.
or is there anything which is proposed?
I think the government of Maharashtra under Honorable Chief Minister Eknath Shinde sir and both the deputy CMs, Puranik sahab and Amitabh are taking this very seriously.
Okay.
The entire movement has is being spearheaded by Shri Pasha Patel ji, who has been a farmer leader for 30 years. He started this entire farmer movement with Sharad Joshi. And realizing that the fossil fuel economy has to go, and the nature-based economy has to emerge. With that mindset, is this whole movement is being driven. On 5th of June, there has been a declaration to plant 10 lakh hectares of land in bamboo in the state of Maharashtra.
10 lakh hectares.
It is about 25 lakh hectares of acres of land.
In Maharashtra alone.
In Maharashtra alone. The whole infrastructure or the policy is being created where wasteland, where otherwise there is hardly anything coming up, are being targeted. At the same time, farmers, along with whatever crop they are doing, are being encouraged to do plantation of bamboo, and knowledge dissemination, funding support in terms of fund coming from Manrega to support these activities for small and marginalized farmers who have less than 5 acres of land is being generated. The entire ecosystem is being generated to create that awareness and to facilitate their plantation, and linking it to industry and policy so that there is an offtake of that material by industries. Industry will only come when they find a certain type of a resource being available and the supply of that resource over a long period of time. A lot of paper mills used to use bamboo. Now they don't use because they feel we don't get bamboo. So, on one hand, how the whole thing of plastic, if you remember, plastic was supposed to solve the problem of cutting off food, right? And now plastic itself has become such a big problem.
Exactly.
And we say, okay, forget plastic, let us come back to natural material. So probably, we as humans tend to look at things in a short-term basis and look for immediate solutions. But we probably ought to look at it from long-term basis and then see what solutions can emerge out of it.
Right.
And I'm so glad to say that Maharashtra is the forerunner among other states in the country in this, and seriously being spearheaded by the Honorable CM and supported by the Council of Ministers and driven by Shri Pasha Patel. We are happy to help, support with all the knowledge and experience that we have gathered. So that's what's happening. Myself, my partners in UKP, and many of us, are working together to see this into reality. In the next 5 to 7 years, when this kind of plantation happens, the nature-based economy will possibly one of the large contributors to the GDP of the state.
Absolutely. Hopeful for that. It's a very important information you have shared. And the Parivartan will happen through this, I think, the plantation of so many bamboo trees. In Maharashtra alone, I don't know.
And we should
happen
use
at the
grass.
central level.
Don't say tree because it's a
It's
grass.
a grass.
You don't need permission to chop it.
Yeah.
Like you need a permission. So bamboo
So
grass.
bamboo doesn't need permission to chop.
Bamboo does.
That's
Even for the
it.
transport, you don't require permission. But sir, I have one
Just
question.
one thing I
So
will
for
add.
transport, you
One
don't
thing
need
I will add.
permission.
Yeah.
for
I want to
Just
stress upon
elaborate
that.
on that.
Till the year 2017, the forest department had categorized bamboo under tree,
Okay.
and the agriculture department had categorized it under grass.
Grass.
Because
Okay.
from botanical point of view, it's a grass.
Okay.
But if you have bamboo in your land and if you chop it,
Mm.
you still need a transit permit from forest department,
Okay.
showing that this was in your land
Mhm.
and that hence you are chopping it and sending it. Now imagine a small farmer, 2-3 acres of land, it's a big headache for them,
Yeah.
So what? So it also gives an impetus to corruption, and it's a feeling of forget it. I don't want it because ultimately I can't use it. So Shri Narendra Modi ji, our Honorable Prime Minister, actually removed this anomaly and has categorized it as grass completely, and no transit permit is required.
Wow.
So that's where the revolution started happening in the country in terms of its acceptability by farmers, who would say, okay, I would plant it. Then imagine if you have a land of 50 acres in the semi-urban area, as developers, and you'll be worried if I plant something, then again, I will have to take a permission for chopping off the trees and it will be a big headache. But if you plant bamboo, in 4-5 years it will become a bamboo forest. It will start becoming a bamboo forest and give more oxygen. And then the day you feel, okay, I need to do some development here, You probably
can
just
chop
chop it and use it. And one important thing that he mentioned, if you don't chop bamboo, it will start biodegrading and decomposing.
And then also it will be a good fertilizer.
I agree, but there is no, like when you chop a tree, you feel that I need to plant it again. In case of bamboo, when you chop it, it comes from the same root system. If you don't chop it and use it, it is anyways going to decompose.
Absolutely.
But if you chop it, treat it and use it, all that carbon that it is absorbed will remain in the body of bamboo for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So you actually become net reducer of CO2.
Right.
And hence it is said that the more you use, the better it is for environment, and that is possibly the only material on the planet for which you can make this claim.
Wow.
That जितना
So much
चाहे
of
यूज करो, आप
knowledge.
क्लोथिंग में भी यूज करो, specs में भी यूज करो, जूते भी बनाओ,
Yeah.
flooring भी. More you use
Even
it,
now tissues, everything.
tissue paper, diapers, and bamboo into fiber, bamboo into food,
Yes.
bamboo as a fuel, as a
We are saving so
biofuel.
much of forest if we use it in
Yes.
paper and.
It's regenerative. So, there's a problem with the solutions we have.
Being an architect, there is a lot of awareness which is happening towards the bamboo right now, right? Many architects are actually getting into the bamboo construction. And I think there was one summit also happened where the bamboo provider, the material provider and the architects, they came together to identify the gaps, where the gaps are, what are the gaps are, and why the material is not reaching to the people, or why architects are not able to think about bamboo as a material for construction. And we came up with a lot of pointers, being an architect, that first of all, it is not a standard material. Every time I have to understand how much girth is there in the internodal distance when I'm designing the structure. And we as an architect, we first plan things, we draw the things and everything. But the exact material, there are chances where I get the exact size bamboo or the exact specification of the bamboo. So how we can actually reduce those gaps? So do you have any plan for that? Then otherwise, I think all the architects will try to get into this kind of a
Plan in the sense very
Important
original
question.
kind of a thing that you get this.
yeah,
Where to
maybe
be
certain
supplied.
standard details, because
Standard.
most of the time, like me as an architect, my first question is, okay, where to start bamboo construction?
I will answer this. It's a very important question. Let me tell you that some of the structures that we have built have been built for the likes of Waldorf Astoria in Maldives, where it's one of the most recognized 5-star resort in Maldives. So the kind of clientele that comes in looks for a certain finesse and quality. But we have been able to engineer it. It was conceptually designed by Stickman Tribe in Dubai. Marcos had done it, and then we did the detailed architecture design, and we did the engineering, and then we built. That's how it happened. We also did Zuma for them, and Zuma, is a very, very internationally recognized brand. And that is also completely done in bamboo. It is designed for a wind speed of 155 km per hour.
Okay.
And Zuma is so finicky about the kind of material that is acceptable to their standards. We have been able to demonstrate that it works. Toora, what we did in Maldives, helped the client win 3 international awards and has been rated as one of the top 16 most beautiful restaurants in the world. So, it's possible. Why I'm telling you all this is, it's possible. We have done it, we have
One
demonstrated.
second. Can you give some examples in India as well? I think you built a structure in Gadchiroli as by
Why I
Government
gave
of
you these
India.
brands is because these brands are known for being
Known,
finicky
yeah.
about
The
quality
quality.
aspects, about aesthetics. And the clientele that comes in when room night starts at $5,000 a room night to the highest category of $80,000 a room night, you can imagine what
kind of quality they expect.
what they're expecting. And we have worked with architects. I also have an architectural company myself. We also work with other architects, and we encourage them that if there is a conceptual design that you do, And if you want us to do the detailed architecture and engineering, so that a real cost can be told to the client, and the client can now expect this is actually how it will look and feel. It's possible to do it. And we have worked in our recent project in Toora. The architect was architect Abdul, who spent along with the client. Client is Mr. Ajit Pai. And it will turn out to be, in my opinion, one of the finest resorts in that part of world, Indian world. And now even Tamara is coming up, in Kochi. So brands are waking up to it. But Abdul was very clear that he knows sense of aesthetics and proportion, but doesn't understand bamboo design. So we worked with him, and he wanted Indian bamboo. He also wanted a certain look which a Bali, as per species views. And we said, okay, for you we'll also work. Otherwise, I personally prefer to work with Indian material or local material. But there was a certain need, so if 5-10% of bamboo can be used, I mean, there's no point in telling him no, because someone is trying to stick their neck out and doing it. So these inconsistencies that you talk of can be complemented.
Yes.
So when you look at a bamboo design, you don't look at it from the way you design a steel structure. Is not the way you design a bamboo.
Yes.
You design a bamboo structure understanding bamboo.
True.
And that these taper and other things can be made part of the celebration of design. And beautifully aesthetic. And we have developed process and systems to do it. In the sense, everything that we do, we have engineered and prefabricated in factory, under factory conditions.
Yeah.
And taken to site and assembled and erected. Now, one may say that there is a carbon footprint of travel, but if you look at the entire life cycle analysis of it, our work so far is able to sequester 2,500 tons of CO2 from atmosphere because of the structures that we have built over the last 8 years.
But all bamboos are not used in construction, right? There
So-
should be varieties.
So in India, there are 136 species of bamboo. Across the world, there are more than 1,500 species of bamboo. In terms of commercial application, commercial value, 16 species of bamboo in the country have been identified, on which some work has happened. When I say some work, means what? How will it perform under tensile load? How will it perform under fracture? What will be the wall thickness to diameter ratio, and what should be the minimum wall thickness required for structural stability point of view. So the BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, has also created a initial code for structural design using bamboo. Again, now we are revamping that code, and I am also on part of that committee, looking at how Indian bamboo and process and systems can be used for structural design. So that
That's
more
very
people
good.
can
Yes.
comfortably adapt to it.
At
And
least-
publicly in public spaces, for example.
Yeah.
Where पहले NBC guidelines को आप कैसे मैच करते हो बताओ पहले, नहीं तो अप्रूवल नहीं मिलेगा.
Yes.
So this will help. This will help a lot.
Work has, as I said, work has to be done on all fronts. You have to create an ecosystem. You have to be part of making of policy. We'll have to create excellence in the artisans.
Yeah.
Because every work you do in bamboo is visible, unlike other material, and you can't use nails. It will split open. So there's a different method of joining
Yes.
that has to be looked at. All these steppers that we talk of has to be complemented to each other. We straighten bamboo, we bend bamboo.
Yeah.
Some of these structures we have done are completely parabolic arches. Like one debuted for Oneness by Ganga, a brand called Oneness by Ganga in Rishikesh, which in my opinion is one of the finest bamboo structures being done in the country, purely from the challenge of getting that, it's like a pack of cards that you put and build your entire structure.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
here it's all parabolic arches
Yeah.
created to have this and the young guy called Tarun Gulati, young chap in his early 40s, and he said, I want to do something different. I want to do something eco-friendly because it is bang on the banks of Ganga. But I want to, if I'm spending more, then I want that to compensate for my PR. And if you hear him speak, he says probably I've been compensated 5 times more than what I have spent.
Right.
Yeah.
And his rack rate, and that's what hospitality looks like, has increased by 50%. So what he had visualized, the earlier thing to be, was a glamping site. Now he calls himself a resort. And the 2 superstructures in that is a ground plus 1 cottage that we built for him, So, this gentleman, Tarun Gulati, we built two structures for him. One is a multi-purpose yoga hall and restaurant combined together, where we have done parabolic arches, and one we have done a ground plus one structure, which initially he wanted for a reception, but now he has converted into cottage because it gives him more premium.
Right.
That glamping site has now become a resort,
Wow.
and he is able to fetch a premium 40% over whatever he had envisaged earlier. Now, if you ask him next time to do it, he would be happy to do it because he has found value.